It's time for MacBreak Weekly, episode 206. We jailbreak the iPhone and open ourselves to amazing security vulnerabilities. Live on the air. How fun. All that and more with Andy Ihnatko, Alex, Lindsay, and me next on MacBreak Weekly.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for MacBreak Weekly is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com. This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 206, recorded August 3rd, 2010. There's a hack for that. This episode of MacBreak Weekly is brought to you by Ford and voice-activated sync, featuring true hands-free calling, turn-by-turn directions, 911 assist, and more. Available exclusively on Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury vehicles. For more details, visit syncmyridepodcast.com. And by GoToMeeting, the affordable way to meet with clients and colleagues. For your free 30-day trial, visit gotomeeting.com/MacBreak. And by Hover.com. Hover is domain name registration and management that's simple. For 10% off your new domain, go to macbreak.hover.com. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, the show that covers everything important that happens in the little town of Cupertino, California. And here to describe the latest from Cupertino, Mr. Alex Lindsay of the Pixel Corps.
Yes, here in Cupertino. Wait, this doesn't look like Cupertino at all.
I cut my teeth in San Jose, and I love Cupertino.
It's a very nice place.
It used to be prune orchards.
Yes.
And also with us, Mr. Andy Ihnatko from back east somewhere.
Life is simple here in Grover's Corners. They say that Becky Lou's going to get married before too long.
Did you ever play the stage manager? It sounds like you did.
I'd like to. I actually own my own stepladder, if that helps. Like if people are casting. So
have stepladder.
I don't know if that's what you're looking for. But
stage manage. Great to
that's
see
in my
you.
Craigslist ad.
Well, it's great to see you.
Position wanted, stage manager, our town owns own stepladder and suspenders.
Yeah, and a great Maine accent. Chicago Sun-Times, CWOB.com. Don McAllister was scheduled to join us. I apologize for those who were looking for Don. Don's son had elective surgery, routine surgery, and is in the hospital, but Don decided it would be better to be with his son than with us, and I don't blame him. But I will mention his screencasts online one more time before this show is over, because it has to do with my pick of the week this week. So welcome, everyone. Let's talk about the news. First of all, I guess jailbreak for iPhone 4 and iPad, and a very easy jailbreak it is. Have you jailbroken anyone?
I keep on thinking about it. I just can't deal with the instability. It's too much part of my my daily routine that I'm afraid. I have to get, like, I feel like I have to get another iPhone or another iPad that I'm just going to break, and then just in case it actually breaks.
It's so easy now. You just go there in Safari and boom.
Yeah, I mean, but that's exactly it. I already have I've always had a jailbroken iPhone, so as long as there's been jailbreaks for iPhones. And when I first got access to this like totally web app, I mean, it's Steve Jobs should be happy because he is promoting web apps as an alternative to like the uncurated app store. So this is just following Steve Jobs' orders, because you just hit a website, click a button, and your phone is jailbroken. But I really do stop. I have the sacrificial lamb iPhone, not even my special jailbroken phone, but a third phone that I haven't used in 2 years. None of my personal information is on it, and yet I still think, okay, Andy, how well it's like a Nigerian prince is giving you the opportunity to jailbreak your iPhone via a website. Why would you trust this to only do this wonderful positive thing to your phone?
You're actually quite smart. I did not think of that, Andy. But you're absolutely right. In fact, that's the larger security issue that this. If you want the Nigerian prince to crack your phone, just go to jailbreakme.com. We did it on Twit. Brian Brushwood was brave enough to try it. I tried it on my iPad, and at the time, it crashed the iPad. It is now. That has apparently been fixed. Tom Merritt did it to his iPhone on Tech News Today yesterday, and I was thinking of doing it to my iPad until I read how this works. It uses a known but unpatched hole in Safari that allows you to, as a website, present a PDF link that, when clicked upon, launches an exploit It has to do with the way the PDF viewer loads fonts, according to Erica Ogg on CNET's Circuit Breaker column, and by doing so can run arbitrary software. So I wasn't even thinking, but you're absolutely right, Andy. The fact that you can go to a website and then download and install software automatically means that, well, you're pretty open to exploits.
Yeah, and given all the hoo-ha that got that people were going through last week when that mean-spirited Android app that gives you a wallpaper but also transmits all your personal information to a site in China, the iPhone also has a lot of those same problems too. It's not as though a properly written exploit like that can't get access to your entire address book and send it to another app, another source.
So you see, I just swiped, and now it's already doing the jailbreak.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. I'm just saying that there's such a thing as unwarranted fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and then there's such a thing as, you know what, I think I'm going to look left and right before I cross the street. And I think this is one of those cases.
Right. A real big irony in this is that once you jailbreak, all you're really doing, this is not an unlock. Right. All you're really doing is allowing yourself to put third-party app stores and third-party apps unapproved by Apple on here, including Cydia. And there is an irony in here. The chat room is telling me that Cydia has a fix for the Safari flaw.
So you can open it and then close it.
Yeah.
But the problem is when you open it, you don't know what got in there. You don't know what's there, what was added.
Right.
You know, that's the concern.
So truthfully, as I do this, I have no idea what I've done to my iPad. Now, I can just correct me, please, if I'm wrong, because I think I could still stop this. Maybe not.
Well, you could restore it.
Well, that's my question. I could just run the restore, right, and it would all be okay.
You should be back to normal, but that's the whole. Here's the problem: is that's what should happen, but we don't know. We don't know exactly what's going to happen after that, and that's why I would be more tempted to get one that I'm planning to just crack, and I'm not going to ever put anything on it, and it's only going to be used as the jailbroken, test unit that's kind of sequestered from ever syncing with my Mac, or I give it a separate Mac and a separate account or whatever. But that's the thing I'm concerned about.
Has anybody run a tracer on this app to see exactly what it's sending and receiving?
There is a post at digdog.tumblr.com. I'll get this tilted up so that you can see that I have now jailbroken this iPad. While we've been talking, I've jailbroken it. Now it's rebooting, I guess. So maybe, who knows? Maybe I'm dead. But if you go to that website, he's looking in the first of all, yes, you can see that it is JavaScript that is calling a PDF. And if you open the PDF file in the hex editor, he says you can see exactly what type of PDF vulnerability. So we at least know how it's happening. A PDF vulnerability that lets you run arbitrary code. But no, you're right. You'd have to decompile the entire jailbreak to figure out if it's doing anything malicious, because it could easily have malicious code in there. We don't know.
I think this. It really. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think it comes from a source that is a trust, has been trusted.
Oh yeah, no. Again, it's just that I want to look both ways before crossing the street. If anything, though, it really does. It really is a warning sign to anybody who thinks that iPhones are necessarily more secure than Android phones or any other sort of computing platform. Because the fact that you can visit a website and install arbitrary code on an iPhone at this level, jailbreaking. I believe this is actually the first jailbreak technique that works on the iPhone 4.
Right. So not only did they jailbreak
just by visiting a website,
right? Not only we've seen that before. And here's this Cydia. So I guess this is jailbroken because there's the Cydia store. By the way, I've been told by Soric that it is pronounced Cydia, not Cydia. So that's why I'm saying it's so strange. Who are you? Not all of the packages available via Cydia are designed to be used by all users. Categorize yourself so that Cydia can apply helpful filters. User, hacker, developer.
Wow.
What am I? Do I want graphical apps only, or do I want command line and graphical apps, or do I want no filters? I want it all. Give me everything.
And then you get the message that says, "Okay, don't tell any of the regular users, but this is actually a scam to get credit card numbers and account information."
Shh, quiet.
They just want to get the jailbroken version of the Wi-Fi.
I'm not sure if I want to broadcast. I don't know what that ECID number is. Here's a button that says "Make my life easier." Thanks, and it's got a heart. So, what could be wrong with that? I'm gonna have to save this for reading later. But
trust is such an interesting issue online. I'm not even joking.
No,
here.
you're right, Andy. You're absolutely right.
Like, yes, by all means, have full access to my machine. This machine that has not only all my personal contact information, but all my banking information and every important document and photo that I've encountered over the past 3 months.
Yeah, and do it so on so that Leo can display that in public on his computer would be even better. And apparently I have.
And for me, it's not so much a security issue as it is just a convenience issue of now I'm kind of out of the. I'm afraid, every time there's an update, there's going to be a process. Every time there's to me, there's just like this. Getting out of that convenience factor to me is just more than I want to do with something that I consider kind of an appliance, a media appliance that I'm using for lots of different things, and I just don't want that much trouble. I think that's the...
Yeah, I
feel like if I want that much trouble, I'll get an Android, which would be great. I mean, I think it gives me all the freedom that I would get with that, except that it's a stable platform that is built for it to be open rather than being cracked open.
Right.
Yeah, my only issue with jailbreaking is my chief issue with jailbreaking is just that every time I look at the app depositories like Cydia and all the others, I've yet to see the sort of apps that make me say, "Thank God, my goodness, why wouldn't I want to jailbreak this phone? Why wouldn't I want this app?"
No, I agree.
Screen capture.
Screen capture is good, but that's such. I think you mean screencast capture, not just screen capture.
Right. I mean, just being able to go out the VGA. I have no
live video.
I'm horribly bitter about this. I just want to say I do not understand why there isn't an app or why Apple won't let us just capture the screen. It makes me.
But that's exactly the sort of thing that most of the really cool stuff are things like OS system enhancements, like turning your iPhone into a Wi-Fi base station, which is something you're getting free with every Android phone from now on. Why, that's even if we're going to be paying extra for tethering, why don't we get Wi-Fi tethering and things that will give you a better launch bar and give you a better home screen, things like that. I just haven't seen that one app that says my life will be so materially changed by the addition of this app on my phone, and there's nothing like it that I can get via the App Store. That yes, I will definitely jailbreak my phone and go through what you're talking about. Where I'm sure that once 4.1 comes out. A new jailbreak will be available within the month, but that's 1 month in which I'm going to have to really look closely and making sure I don't upgrade my phone for concern that's going to disable the thing.
Now, the one place that is very popular, of course, is in countries where it's not available. I actually work in a lot of those countries, and every iPhone is jailbroken. I mean, every iPhone that you encounter, and there's a lot of them. I mean, I go to meetings in Zimbabwe and Tanzania, and you see iPhones everywhere, and every single one of those had to be jailbroken because that's the only way to get it to run.
Some say FaceTime over 3G is a compelling reason to upgrade iPhone 4 or jailbreak iPhone 4.
And here's another issue that you don't know how this will affect your pricing structure. Someone put a meter on it to make sure that if you're running FaceTime over 3G, well, how much data are you transacting? And it comes out to some semi-ungodly rate per minute. And given that you're capped at 2 gigs per month if you're a new user, unless you're still in the limited plan, you're going to start running up an incredible amount of money if you don't keep your eye on that.
This is 9 to 5 Mac, Mark Gurman writing. He says, we put 2 iPhone 4s to test, one running FaceTime over 3G, and took before and after screenshots of the data. As you'll see if you do the math, a 5-minute FaceTime call with lots of movement. And of course, that's part of the issue, is it could use more or less depending on what's going on and so forth. But used 14.7 megabytes of data, about 3 megabytes a minute. Your mileage may vary, but that could be quite a bit. If you have a 250 megabyte plan, that means you're going to get, 80, 90 minutes a month. I find that I actually want to go the other direction, where I just really want to make those phone calls. The FaceTime calls that I'm getting, I want those to be audio calls. I want them built into the phone. I don't really want to use Skype. I want to use FaceTime to call people. I'm confused. You want FaceTime for audio calls?
I just don't want the FaceTime to turn on. I see.
You don't want to use Skype. You want to use FaceTime as a VoIP solution.
Exactly.
Why? I don't understand.
Why? Yeah.
Well, because
when you don't have 3G connect.
Because when Skype is running in the background on my iPhone 4, I can almost watch the battery drain in real time. I mean, Skype is a battery hog. I couldn't understand why my iPhone kept on dying. And I realized, because Skype is running in the background. And welcome to background operations. And so it was the only thing running in the background. And so I don't want to run Skype in the background because it's and I just want that built into my phone operation. And I'm at Wi-Fi access points all the time. Like, I don't need the 3G. I need it occasionally, but most of the time I'd love to have a clear call that actually works, that doesn't drop, that I call, like I was talking to Frederick Johnson on FaceTime, and it was clear. And it
just
was
get a Verizon
beautiful.
phone.
So which switch you're talking about is the ability to start a call over the 3G network and then tap a button and switch it over cleanly to Wi-Fi.
Yeah, just exactly what FaceTime does. I just want to be able to turn the camera off.
Oh, that makes sense.
Just give me FaceTime and just have a little button that says camera off.
Yeah.
So I can just have basically iChat. And I can decide which way, what am I going to use, 3G or Wi-Fi? And I think a lot of people would be able to use Wi-Fi.
Norway says, is this news to you, that you can hit the home button to get voice only on FaceTime?
It is news to me. I didn't know. I looked for the button. I didn't know that I had the
home button. Well, there's only one button.
Well, I didn't know that. But
no, I didn't know that
on
either.
The screen. So
where do they publish that information? I don't know.
So that would be the
Jeff Jack 25 wants you to know he said it first.
Okay, well there you go.
They're fighting in the chat room.
So that to me, FaceTime is that future of this nice, clear, and it's not just it's a VoIP connection, because if someone's got Wi-Fi in some other country, that gives me that VoIP connection. The Skype is more than I need. I just want it built into my phone. I don't want to think about it.
And FaceTime doesn't kill the battery like Skype does?
No, it's just part of the.
So it sounds to me like Skype is broken.
There's something broken about Skype.
And they need to do another. They did a re-release recently to make it possible to run in the background. And now they need to fix that.
And let me tell you, and here's the other thing. Is there a way to kill background processes?
I'd like to do that because
the problem is that it is exactly what Apple said. When you start running background processes, it's going to burn up that battery, and it just burns.
That's why if you look on the Android store, there's 18 different task killers for that very reason.
Yeah. You can do that very easily. The same technique that you use to delete icons from the homepage. If you do that to the
but you got to do them one by one. That's the problem.
Okay,
and it's I've done it. Yeah. It takes a long time because it keeps everything you've ever opened in that tray.
You're talking about double clicking the
where you get where it slides up and then you get all of the icons there and you press and hold them.
Are all those processes working? No.
This is the other problem. So basically you're going to get an icon. This is my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're going to get an icon in that tray for every process you've run since the last time you've turned on the system. Many of those will already have been shut down through lack of use. There's as there has to be. There's a process on these resource-constricted devices.
But the one that's active is certainly going to be to the extreme left and should be very easy to find, shouldn't it?
You could close Skype for sure. It's easy to find Skype. Yep.
Right.
You see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of the way Apple's done multitasking, but I understand. In fact, I'm kind of with you. I wish I could just turn it off. But you want to have Pandora running.
No, I actually would love to be able to turn it off.
I think that multitasking is a problem on Android, too. It causes reliability glitches. It causes resource drops.
The biggest reliability issue for me is that my phone dies at 3 o'clock in the afternoon instead of before I go to bed.
And notice, by the way, we're not unhappy with how fast I mean, iPad is fine. I can switch. It remembers the context that it was in, right? So I can switch from my browser to my email and back again very quickly. It's not multitasking. It's just fast app switching. I think it's adequate.
Well, I think it's really tailored to the user because I haven't noticed any degradation in my battery performance on my iPhone 4. Maybe it's because of the larger battery, and I also tend to think that. Are you using the iPhone 4 or the iPhone 3GS?
I think we're talking about 4.
iPhone 4. Are you running Skype in the background?
I'm not running Skype.
It's Skype,
but
it's specifically Skype. That's just whatever it's doing to do it. It's not all of the apps running in the background. It's specifically Skype. Is just draining that battery all the way to the ground.
So we're returning back to my original thesis, which is that Skype is a piece of crap.
All right, you win. All right.
Do we have a show title?
No. I can't afford to rile the Skype gods. As we continue in just a bit, more tech news. Andy Ihnatko, Alex Lindsay here. We're talking about Apple. And I now have a jailbreak on iPad. I don't see anything wrong with it. I mean, I don't see any advantage, except there's maybe some things in Cydia I'd want to run, but there's nothing bad happened here, right?
Not yet.
There's nobody stealing my passwords, is there?
Not that you know.
We don't know. That's kind of the problem, isn't it? I want to thank the folks at Ford, by the way, for bringing us out to Detroit last week. I hope you saw some of our video from the Detroit auto plant, the Rouge.
That was fun.
Oh man, did I have a blast! The Rouge is the plant Henry Ford built in the late 1920s, right after the Depression. What's cool about this is in some ways the highest expression of tech, of logistics, of ingenuity that we've ever seen. This is 1.5 miles by 3/4 mile. The whole idea of the plant was raw materials come in one end, iron ore, lumber, limestone. A car comes out the other end. 100,000, Shenzhen, forget it. 100,000 people were working at this plant at its peak. It made, they called it the arsenal of democracy during World War II because they were making airplanes, tanks, jeeps. It's just, the history there is fascinating.
Yeah. Is it still running? Is it?
It's running not at peak capacity. It's not 100,000 people, but we went down to the most modern factory there, which is making the Ford F-150 trucks, which is the best-selling vehicle in America right now. And I got to actually ride the conveyor belt as they're making them. I was on the assembly line. We got, if you haven't seen the video, we're going to put it out on the Twitch specials. But boy, we got unprecedented access. We went down there with a camera. It was amazing. It's clean. It's well lit. They've got clear stories and skylights. There's sunlight in there. The noise level is very tolerable. It's less than maybe during a major twit eruption, and it was really just amazing to watch the just-in-time logistics as these trucks are getting assembled. It's mind-boggling, you know, the number of parts and stuff. I just got a thrill to see this. This is big tech. Anyway, I want to thank Ford for doing that. And then the next day we went to Maker Faire. Now Maker Faire is you and me. You know, the innovation, the ingenuity of individual humans taking found parts and stuff and putting it together in unusual, unique ways. It was a great combination of things. And you know, the idea, the reason that Make Magazine wanted to bring Maker Faire to Detroit is that they also recognized that this, for many years, was the center of American innovation and technology. And in the post-industrial era, we want to, they want to kind of support the reinvention of Detroit in the 21st century. There's all this capacity there, all these brains, all this genius. What can we do with it? So it was so much fun to go. I hope you come to our Twit Specials feed, and there's 3 shows. There's a Ford plant tour. There's the Ford track tour. They took me out on a test drive. I went out in the Mustang Shelby, 2011 Shelby, and he was drifting the thing. I was screaming like a little girl. It was so much fun. And then they have, well, this is so cool. They have an area of the test track where they simulate roads from around the world, because the Fiesta, for instance, is one style for the whole world. So they have we went on a Scottish road. They had a road from Belgium with cobblestones. They have bumpy roads. They have all different road surfaces, everything that that the other cars might be driven on, including culverts, drains.
Do the signs change languages?
No. In fact, it's all fairly compact.
Right.
You can shift, if you shift over 2 feet, you'll be riding on a different road. So it's like almost like, they're grooves. So you'll see that. And then we went to the Henry Ford, which is the museum. We went to, where else did we go? Oh, we went to the cave with a virtual reality environment where they I wish you had been there.
I wish I had been there too.
They use 3D technology you would have known all about. It was really interesting how they model the cars.
Right.
I sat on a seat and they, with 3D glasses on, and they have a flex all around you, and you turn your head, you're looking at the door, you're looking out the window, you turn the right, you see, you can reach out, you can't touch them because your hand goes right through it, but the controls are all there. You're in a flex. You can look in the back seat, and the idea is that the executives come in, they look, they see what it's going to look like. They see, can you hit the kids from the front seat if they're in the back seat?
It's an important thing. You wonder why you don't have a lot of leg space if you're tall. It's because you can't hit the kids.
Yeah. Stuff like that. It was anyway. We have all the video if you want to see it on the specials. We then went to the Coke Mentos show. We got a special Coke Mentos demonstration. Anyway, a lot of fun. Thanks to Ford for bringing us out. It made me love them even more. I have to say, I am a Ford fanboy. I admit it. When I drive my Mustang, it makes me happy. Partly because it's got that great Ford sync in there, and every time I try somebody else's GPS or their voice activation or their hands-free, I go, how do you use this? This is terrible. Ford Sync, it's intuitive. You get true hands-free calling. In fact, okay, don't tell the iPhone guys, but on my Droid X, it reads text messages to me. It goes, you have a text message, and then it reads it to me. Voice, turn-by-turn voice directions. It'll even reroute you if there's bad traffic. 911 assist, which is very important. Voice-activated music. You put your own pictures in there. Absolutely. Did you see that? I have the Twit logo on my cool. Yeah. Your text messages read aloud with the sound of your voice. That depends on the phone you're using. It does not do it with the iPhone 4. Personalized traffic alerts and weather. So much more. It's standard in some Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury models. Optional in others. The best way to find out more is to go to syncmyridepodcast.com or visit your Ford, Lincoln, or Mercury dealer and test drive one of those new 2011 Ford Fiestas or the Flex or the Focus or the Fusion. the F-150s, that 4x4, the Raptor. Look, if you go off road, and you got to try a Raptor. We did the bumpy test track in the Raptor. We were going through drainage ditches and stuff. It was oh man, you can see all that video online, but it was just a blast. SyncMyRidePodcast.com or visit your Ford, Lincoln, or Mercury dealers. And thank you, Ford, for bringing us to the Motor City. We're going to go back. In fact, they want us to see the Chicago Ford plant where they build. Is that where they build the Fiesta? I want to see the Mustang plant.
Yeah, where's the Mustang?
Have you ever been, either you or Andy, have you ever been on, seen an assembly line?
No. Auto assembly line? No.
Yeah. It's not, I have this kind of Victorian notion, this dark and dim, and there's people going, put it in the seats now. And it's so different. You could eat off the floor. It's, really clean. This part was not robotics. This is all the trim. So, humans are doing it all. And they're we joked at them. We were laughing. It really is it looks like not only a great place to work, but just a really high-tech facility. I mean, each truck is different, and they have to match the pieces up. Like the cab is assembled, and then the box is assembled, and then they match it to the chassis, and it all has to arrive at the same time, or you're going to have the wrong thing on the wrong thing. And the logistics, I don't know how. It's amazing, state-of-the-art.
And I think that's the only way to compete these days.
You have to.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be there.
You have to. I think they do, on that line, they do 500 trucks a day. 12 minutes a truck, something like that. It's incredible. And it's not moving fast, by the way. We got on the conveyor and rode it for a little while and then get off it. It's not moving that fast. And
it all started with Ford. I mean, that system.
He invented it.
And then when you got off the line, you realized that your shoelaces have been replaced and your glasses were now clean. You just didn't know how it happened.
There's a team. It's kind of like Indy 500. There's a team with those bolt things, and they put the tires on. They put the whole wheel assembly is done already in the tire, and it's just like the Indy 500. They go, and it's done.
Whenever I see an assembly line, I'm always amazed by two things. Number one, that of course they're going to make a specialized tool for just this one operation, and it is the most magical tool you've ever seen. And secondly, you have a worker who does nothing but use this tool. And so, like if it's installing a dashboard, I have taken out dashboards and put in the back end like 5 or 6 different times in various cars, and it's a 2-day affair. But then you realize that no, here's the insertion of dashboard tool.
Yep.
That does you press this one button.
We have video.
Here's the guy who knows exactly how to get at those 4 others, the 3 nuts that can't be accessed by non-human hands. He simply reaches in, go blip, 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 and then he knows he has to simply lean it this way to get it to set in, and good, you're done.
No, we have a video of that exact thing if you want to see it. And he has a special crane that holds it, so he can do it with his finger. And so it goes, and they do. They tack it down, and then the next guy bolts it in. Literally, Andy, 30 seconds.
You want to pay that guy like $100 to put in your car stereo just to watch him do it.
Well, he's done it enough, and I asked him. I said, they rotate. He says some guys like to change their job frequently, every year or whatever. They do something else, and some guys really love that they know how to do it, and they're very efficient at it. And it's just, and they're listening to music and stuff, but they're fast, and they're really. You watch them, they're really like boom. It's really cool.
Every 12 minutes.
Well, I don't know if that's right. I probably shouldn't spout stats like that. Oh, and Ford did ask me to say something. So I crashed the Flex into a Fiesta. It was my fault. I was using the park assist, and I just didn't have my foot on the brake. And apparently after you park, you're supposed to stop the car. And I didn't. So the car, it's amazing. You pull up, the Flex, which is a big car, says, okay, I can fit in this spot. So it tells you, and you say, okay, I'll take it. You press the button, it says, I'll take it. And it says, okay, pull forward. You pull forward, and it says, okay, stop. Take your hands off the wheel. And it goes, perfect parallel parking.
Scary.
It's a little weird, but what I didn't know is you are supposed to keep your foot on the accelerator and the brake. You still control the speed with which it's doing it. So when I took my hands off the wheel, I took my feet off of everything, and so the car was driving itself. This is not the intent. So when you get in spot, when it beeps at you when you're parked, you're supposed to put on the brake, turn off the engine, and leave. I just sat there, so it continued to go backwards. And there's 2 engineers in a Ford Fiesta sitting behind me. Now, this is a big car, the Flex. Little car Fiesta. And you see it on the video. Boom! I hit it hard. And they're laughing behind me. They're laughing at me. So I go, oh, God. And you see this is all live. I'm going, oh, God, I'm so embarrassed.
Oh, the wonders of live.
It's live. There's nothing you can do. I can't edit it out. Oh, God. So
now there's a new safety label on the dashboard that inside Dearborn at Ford is referred to as the Leo label.
The Leo label.
That's now on every single one of those cars.
So I get out, and the amazing thing, there was not a scratch on either one. They both handled it very well, which I thought made up a little bit for the fact that I completely screwed up the demo.
You could that could be an opportunity for them to create a feature that just does an auto brake once it gets to the other end of that.
Apparently, they were betting on whether I would do that or not. The engineers were laughing because they had money that I would hit them.
Yeah. So that's why they were happy about it.
They didn't mind, and everything survived. I'm sorry, I don't mean to go on and on, but I did want to mention that. It was a lot of fun. One other thing. Yeah, we use the Live View, which is an amazing device, but I know that there were some connectivity issues, especially in the plant. And so if you were watching live, you probably saw the stream drop out, come and go. But we have edited versions of super high quality, high def recording. We used a Sony EX1 Cine Alta. So we have very nice videos that we are posting in the Twit Specials feed. So you can see it all, including the crash in high def. I'm so happy about that. All right, we got to keep going here. Good news for the iPhone, bad news for the BlackBerry. The United Arab Emirates says the BlackBerry is a security flaw. On October 11th, we're going to turn off internet, email, and texting on the BlackBerry.
I think this is actually good news for BlackBerry.
Well, I'll tell you what. The government said buy an iPhone instead.
But I still think this is good. This is good for BlackBerry. If you ever wanted to have an advertisement of you are a secure agency or a big company in the United States and you want to know that your communications are secure, you couldn't get a better ad than a country saying it's so encrypted and it's so tight that we're not going to even let it in the country. I mean, if RIM was smart, they would use this as an ad. This is their...
Well, that's what RIM said. They said, the UAE said, well, we want, because really the truth is the UAE wants to spy on its citizens.
Right.
And they said, well, BlackBerry, give us the keys so we can see the data. And BlackBerry said, we can't unencrypt it. It's secure.
No, I think it's a great, I think they should, I think this is the beginning of a great ad campaign for RIM. I actually think it's really good for them.
Apparently, RIM did make an agreement with India to share, quote, share technical codes for corporate emails. But RIM is saying over and over again, look, this is encryption. It's strong encryption. We don't have backdoors to it.
Right.
Sorry, UAE. 500,000 users, though, are going to be are going to have phones that don't work come October if this happens.
But I think that that's a drop in the bucket for RIM. I think. I mean, it's a. I think it's bad for UAE because I think there's a lot of people that aren't going to want to go to that.
It includes Dubai.
Right. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that are going to go. Well,
we talk about privacy issues in the States. At least we don't have a government that's banning BlackBerries because they can't spy on them.
Right.
And it does reflect a little bit badly on the iPhone if they say, well, use the iPhone. Well, but the difference is RIM, all the back end is not handled by the carrier, which would be the UAE carrier. It's handled by RIM.
Right.
And on the iPhone, the carrier handles all transactions. So the carrier can give access. The carrier is a UAE. I'm pretty sure it's a government agency, so they can open it up.
That's a heavy business. I think that it damages UAE's ability to, because there's a lot of people that are addicted to their BlackBerries, and if they come into the airport and they can't use them, they're not going to be, they're going to reroute.
Did you see the post by I guess an Apple employee? I don't know if we know his real name or not. Sachin, SACHIN, .posterous.com. Apple is run like a huge startup. He's responding to a Gizmodo article that said, we love the Apple Remote app, which we do. It's a great app. But why hasn't it been updated in over 8 months? Sachin says, yeah, it's due for an update, but here's why it hasn't been updated. The person who wrote it is busy working on other things.
Yeah.
Apple doesn't, he says, goes on to say, Apple doesn't build large teams to work on every product they make. Instead, they hire very few but very intelligent people who can work on different products and move around as needed. One day you might be working on the Remote app, the next you might be pulled on to another project that needs your help.
That's absolutely true. Project after project. Some people were skeptical when they heard last year that the reason why a certain software update wasn't ready was because everybody was being pulled off to get this next version of the iPhone operating system out the door, and that is absolutely true. I think that's also a reason why Apple can behave as one company so effectively in ways that Dell and Microsoft and the rest can't, because if you work at Apple and you reach a certain level of permanence there, your allegiance is not to the iPhone, because the iPhone is what you're working on this year. Maybe you'll be spending 3 months working on the UI for the Finder next year if they decide that they need more manpower or more personnel on that project instead. So basically, I think everybody who works at Apple at that level is invested in the company as a whole, in the portfolio of products as a whole. And so that's the reason why you don't have people really saying, well, we really can't add this feature to the iPad because what does that do to sales of my iPhone division? Well, no, because you're being paid by the same guy who also makes iPads, so you're good.
And by the way, Black Cat tells me that Sachin is the CEO of Posterous. So I guess he used to work at Apple. He says he's good friends with the guy who wrote, product designer inspired by Apple. Worked on Final Cut Pro. He was on the Final Cut Pro team at Apple. Do you know him?
I don't think so.
A4 Agarwal.
I don't. I only know a small part of the.
You know that team, though.
Yeah. No, absolutely. They're a great team.
Yeah.
They're in Santa Monica.
I think that's something to be said for that, except that there's also a negative. I mean, look, this is what Microsoft doesn't do. You know, they have massive teams, and yeah, they keep stuff up to date, but they just don't have that entrepreneurial spirit.
Well, I find it funny that Microsoft will be working on incredible technology, and there's not a huge impetus to turn it into a product. I mean, if they turn it into a product, they're going to have to support it.
Worse, there's internecine fighting to keep it from becoming a product because it's not my team, it's not my product. That's what really apparently hurts stuff inside Microsoft.
Yeah, I think.
So, go ahead, Andy.
I was just going to say that used to be a huge problem before Jobs came back, where I would be getting contacts from multiple people at multiple divisions, each stabbing each other in the back and trying to get me to, hey, you're one of the best journalists, and I really like your stuff, so I'm going to slip you this super confidential document about how late the operating system is, and boy, would I get in trouble. I mean, there's no selfish reason for me to give you this document, and then I look into it and realize that, and I already know that. Okay, well, Jeff, I happen to know that you and this other guy have been fighting for the past 7 months to get with different ideas of what the OS strategy should be. So I know that you're giving me the knife that you intend to use to want me to stab other people in the back for you. That's kind of a tough thing for me to do, Jeff. Sorry.
That's tough. It's good you caught that, however, because it would be very tempting.
For whatever people think about Steve Jobs, the one thing he definitely did is tighten that ship up a lot, very, very fast. I mean, that company went from being all over the place to being, going one direction in, 12 months flat.
Right. On the other hand, so that's the positive. On the other hand, the negative is 8 months between updates on an app. To me, the larger issue is, and this is, I always got this feeling, and I'm thinking maybe this is why, you get the sense that Apple as a company moves its attention from product to product, and since there was so much attention placed on the iPad and before it the iPhone, that OS X got a little short shrift. So this would kind of confirm it, that these people are moving as needed.
Right. Aren't
there enough great engineers that you could have all the teams, or is this just part of the way Apple works? Really, really great engineers?
It's not.
It's hard.
And that's hard in any industry. Really great lawyers or doctors or engineers or artists or whatever it is. There's just, it's a very, very small percentage of people who have all the pieces that make it really work.
Yeah. Speaking of BlackBerry, according to Nielsen, 50% of BlackBerry users plan to defect to Android or iPhone.
That's not scary, is it?
For BlackBerry, it is.
Yeah, I know.
But
that'll keep you up at night.
And I don't know if they've announced it yet, but today they're supposed to announce their new BlackBerry with OS 6. Have you seen anything about that yet?
I've seen stuff about it. I have to admit, my last BlackBerry experience was bad enough that
the storm was awful. This 9800, people are saying good things about it. Let me just see. It's called the BlackBerry Torch. It has a big, there it is, big screen with a slider keyboard that comes out of the bottom. This is from Engadget. They just announced this minutes ago. It is using WebKit finally, which is huge because the browser on BlackBerry has been really the weak spot, I think. and it's been the strength, I think, of iPhone, was it had a real browser in it. Engadget says, this is Nilay Patel writing, the hardware is quite nice. The keyboard feels similar to the Tour or Bold. Software-wise, still waiting to play with BlackBerry 6 in depth, but definitely feels like the OS overwhelms the hardware a little when it's really cranking. This is always a problem.
Is this more of BlackBerry? It's not so much them growing their market, because I don't think this is going to grow their market against Android or the iPhone, but it's a matter of trying to get those defectors to not leave.
Well, they got to do something,
right? I mean, that's because it seems like it still feels like a BlackBerry. So we're going to make, if you're a BlackBerry user, this tells you that we're moving forward, but it doesn't look like something that, as an iPhone user and Android user, I would want to move over to.
Right. And do you use a BlackBerry at all? Either one of you? I used a BlackBerry right up until the iPhone came out. I was using a Bold. I really liked the Bold.
I totally skipped over BlackBerry, except for just for research, for writing columns and stuff like that. I think that they always had a really great identity as the ultimate messaging phone that's out there, and messaging has never been the most important thing for me in my personal phones. So it's kind of interesting that now that you're seeing more sophisticated messaging phones, messaging options for the iPhone and for the Android, and now that having a really awesome keyboard is no longer really the defining ability to enter text really, really fast on this device. I mean, I've been using Swipe on my Android phone, which is just an incredible input solution. Now, I mean, BlackBerry is really starting to lose its identity. It can still do okay if it's going to be defined as here is the phone that your company will buy for you and give you, because it's the easiest phone to administer and the easiest phone to keep 500 copies of running all across the country. But they're really going to have to find a way to connect to users if they're going to start to compete with Android and Apple.
I'm just watching the video that they put on Engadget, Nilay Patel playing with the prototype at the announce event this morning. It does look very iPhone-y, I have to say. I mean, it's got app icons, gridded across the top. It's I think BlackBerry learned with the storm that BlackBerry users, anyway, don't like an on-screen keyboard. I prefer an on-screen keyboard. I'm with you, Andy. I think Swipe is faster than any mechanical keyboard. But, this is kind of the bread and butter of BlackBerry, right, is these physical keyboards. Right.
And obviously people who do nothing but message all day long have a different set of priorities that we have to respect. Right. And what I've always liked about BlackBerry, with two recent exceptions, is that when they put in a mechanical keyboard, it's not like the first Droid where it's push buttons but they're totally useless. They make a great mechanical keyboard for mobile devices.
That would be a good reason to jailbreak an iPhone. Can you get Swipe on Cydia or some similar alternate keyboards? Probably not.
I should look for it.
Swipe is a third party.
Exactly, and it's a specific technology, and it's a whole database of metrics on how people move their fingers across the keyboard when they're typing.
Right. It ain't going to be on the Cydia store.
Man,
I don't think.
If Apple is not the sort of people who would license a technology. I don't think they would license a technology like that. But steal it, please steal it. I was so skeptical the first time I tried it, because the first time I saw it was a video that made it sound as though it was going to be like graffiti, where I have to learn a new way of typing. I was just so shocked that within 10 seconds I was getting it, and within 5 minutes I was just blurring through emails with this. And and as a matter of fact, if I were close in a decision between a Droid X and an iPhone, that would tip it over for me. That would make me get the Droid X instead of the iPhone. If outside of the text input I was close between those two, it would send me over to the Droid, no problem.
You're not close, huh?
I ain't even close to being closer.
I'm so far from close.
It's it's not like, you know what? The taste of human flesh with enough tarragon. If there were enough tarragon.
If only there were more spices.
Exactly. If use the brining technique as opposed to the salting technique. No, it's not. It's not that close,
Andy, I think likening using an Android phone to eating human flesh might be going just a little far. I don't know.
Well, you see, it is Sleep Week here at the Twit Network, and I wanted to get that soundbite that we tack on the end of the 6:30 news that would get us the lead into Entertainment Tonight.
If it is, call me a cannibal. So
Android is a lot better than eating human flesh.
Yes, thank you.
Not that I would know.
There's a name for the show for you. Android is better than eating flesh.
Well, apparently a few other people, according to the Nielsen Company once again, while RIM and BlackBerry are still the #1 smartphone in the U.S., Android has now eclipsed, and this was just a matter of time, iPhone as the second best selling smartphone in the U.S. for the first time on record. 27% of U.S. smartphone sales. I don't know what the period is. Probably the month. Nope, it's the quarter. 27% of U.S. smartphone sales in the last quarter were Android. 23 were iPhones. So maybe because that does it include the 4? Maybe we'll see a little bit of a shift next quarter. Android handset sales, though, are growing. They grew 886% worldwide from the quarter a year ago.
Not shabby.
Yow! Motorola's mobile phone division has swung from loss to profit on the basis of its Droid. Yep. HTC is kind of abandoning Windows Mobile. Their revenues up 66%, mostly on Android over a year ago.
I mean, if you were looking at this as a marathon, it would really feel like, I mean, you have neck and neck between Android and iPhone, with BlackBerry. Even though it's ahead,
well, there's some black horses. There's BlackBerry and there's Windows Mobile, which is going to come out with a complete redesign in October.
Right.
Yeah. But it's
you guys sound skeptical.
No. Actually, no. I'm saying it. I think that a startup company could make a really good run with Windows 7. It is the first real new design in handheld user interface since the iPhone came along. I really think it's that significant. I don't think, however, that Microsoft is the company to really prosecute it and have faith in it, and have the courage to say this is not going to. You're right. It doesn't have the app library of the iPhone, and no, it's not as open as Android. Boy, those are nice things. If that's what you want, those are great things. We decided to do something brand new. We decided to do a really consumer-oriented interface that's designed for your contacts, that's designed for your web browsing, that's designed for the 4 apps that you would probably be most likely to use. But it's going to do those 5, 6, 7 things better than any other phone out there. I think I can't wait. I have not gotten my hands on one for real yet, but there's so many really cool ideas in that UI that I'm more interested in getting my hands on that than on the final golden master of Froyo for Android. And I like Froyo.
Yeah. Does the fact that this new BlackBerry phone comes out on AT&T exclusively make a difference, you think? Is AT&T hedging its bets, waiting for the other shoe to drop on Verizon?
I guess I would say if I was going to do something exclusively, AT&T wouldn't be the horse that I'd pick.
I would bet that AT&T actively pursued RIM, hoping to have.
They must have gotten a really good deal on it, because I think from RIM, if RIM wants to increase market share or maintain market share, picking AT&T as your only only distribution doesn't seem like it's the best move.
If history's any judge, they'll have other versions of the same phone in a few months. But right now, AT&T has the exclusive.
Or maybe they're putting a certain bullet in the chamber, saying, "Well, gosh, here's our statistics on how often BlackBerry users use media. They use just as much data as the iPhone does, but for some reason, this totally separate hardware and totally separate operating system performs much better on our network than the iPhone does." I don't know. All other things being equal, maybe it's the phone and the operating system.
That would be very interesting.
I don't think it's as strategic as that. I think it's just a simple question of AT&T is in the business of selling phones to anybody who comes into the store and wants one. So that means that they want to have the iPhone. They also want to have that cheap $29 Nokia phone that has the 640 by 480 camera.
Right. It was funny. I actually was talking to someone. This was a couple months ago at an AT&T store, asking, so you always have all these ads and all these promotions for all these other phones. What do you mostly sell? And they just kind of rolled their eyes. They're like, yeah, we sell iPhones. It was just like, the AT&T store. I mean, it's like,
and that's it, really.
He said, we sell some of the other stuff, but it was just kind of like that was the vast majority.
I have to think that any thought that iPhone is going to come to Verizon might be a little hurt by the fact that Verizon's just really been harsh on this antenna thing, and that really maybe Verizon's saying, we don't really care. We're going to stick with Android. We're doing very well with the droids. Maybe T-Mobile, that's the latest rumor. T-Mobile will be the first. It would make sense because T-Mobile's the other GSM carrier in the U.S. It'd be an easy thing to do. If you look at... Go ahead.
I just can't think of any compelling reason to say if you have an iPhone on an AT&T network, by all means go to T-Mobile instead, unless you specifically have better coverage from T-Mobile in your home or in your office area, because the map for AT&T coverage is way better than the one for T-Mobile.
Right.
Yeah, I would have no reason to bounce to T-Mobile. I mean, if Verizon, I could be tempted.
Right.
But AT&T,
T-Mobile's worse.
T-Mobile or Sprint or any of the other ones, it just doesn't make any sense.
It'd be nice to have choice, though. I think just on basic principle, I would love to see it on multiple carriers. I think that if Verizon had an opportunity to carry the iPhone, the first principle of business is that if someone comes to your office with money in hand and they want to give it to you, take the money.
Well, they turned it down in the beginning. That was the it was just too much control. Apple wanted too much, so on and so forth. They kind of pushed Apple out, according to the. I mean, that's what the.
Yeah, but that was more because that was a total rewrite of how handset manufacturers relate to carriers. It's never been here is you're going to be lucky enough to carry our hardware. Here are the terms that we're going to dictate to you, and that's never been the way that any carrier had ever dealt with any handset manufacturer. It's always been, well, Apple. The problem is that we don't see a place where we can put our logo on it. No, you're not going to put your logo on our phone. Like, well, why would we do it if we? It was cool. I took some pictures of for an upcoming column of 2 different HTC phones with the iPhone 4, and it was just like for a size comparison. But now that looking at it on the big screen in my office, it really did strike me that you have the Droid X that has the Verizon logo and this other badge and these other art and graphics on the front for this label the buttons and this other logo, and then you have the HTC Evo phone from Sprint and has the HTC logo and the Sprint logo and another Android logo, and then in the middle you have the iPhone 4. The only piece of artwork on that entire front is just a little rounded square to let you know that, oh, by the way, this is a home key. We're putting something on this just to indicate that it might be important for you to push this at some point. Otherwise, we really don't want to contaminate the clean lines of this lovely thing that we've built.
There's an apple on the back, but it's a pretty apple.
You don't ever have to even see it if you just don't turn it over.
This just in, iPhone 4 and tenila good og darlig some concurrenter. I thought you'd like to know that. That's this is from Norway, but I've heard this same thing in other languages from all over the world. Basically, the iPhone 4's antenna problems are U.S. only. That in other countries, most people are saying it's AT&T because we're not having the problem.
It's one of our
I think that's it. Well, one of our chatters is in Toronto. He says I have 4 iPhone 4s or 5, and they're all fine. I don't have dropped calls, so maybe it is AT&T. We're going to take a break. But I wanted to say one more thing, which is, so what if Android sales are bigger than iPhone sales? Apple has never wanted to be the best-selling necessarily. They want to be the best. And Apple's been content with the Mac having 5% of the market share. Maybe they'd like 10, but I don't think they ever wanted to be 95%. They just want to make the best stuff for a limited market with higher margins. And I think that, and Apple users, I think they're the same way. I don't think they care if the iPhone 4 is outsold by Android. Do they?
I actually think that a lot of Apple users are probably like me, that we don't want to see it become the dominant piece, because it means that it becomes a target for viruses. It becomes a whatever. I think that it's and we have to remember, like, BMW is 7% of the market or 4% of the market.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
perfectly happily.
You don't need to be a majority of the market.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the fact that I'm not a stockholder in Apple, so I absolutely don't care what their market share is, so long as the company is selling enough that they're going to be selling them next year and the year after and the year after that.
I think the stockholders are pretty happy too. Frankly, Apple's doing just fine. Thank you.
Market penetration is not a user feature, and Apple has always been about user features.
Yeah. Let's take a break. We're going to come back with more news from Microsoft, Apple's plan for Lala, and let's see, a little pad news. We haven't talked about the iPad in a while. We've got some pad stories coming up. But before we do, I want to mention our friends at Hover. If it's time for you to register a domain, don't go to the other guys. And you know who I'm talking about, the ones that get all the attention. The ones with the sexy ads. Go to the ones that are going to do you the best job, and that's hover.com. In fact, if you go to macbreak.hover.com, you'll see a clean, simple site that just makes it easy to register domain names. No upselling at the end. Just good prices, great service. In fact, they have a new no-hold policy for customer service calls during the week, 9 to 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. You get somebody right away. You got to love that. Look how clean this is. macbreak.hover.com. And you'll see right there, domain forwarding with no email, $15. If you want an email box, $35 a month. Domain forwarding, 6 email boxes, $60 a month. Can I just recommend that as somebody, if you are still using Gmail or Hotmail or me.com as your address, it might not be a bad idea to continue to use those services for your email. But to have your own name or your own domain, and that's what you give out. The advantage of doing that is if you change email service providers, and look, that happens all the time, you don't have to change your address, your domain. You just change the forwarding through hover.com. Hover, hover.com. And if you use the offer code MacBreak when you sign up, I think you get 10%. What is it? 10% off. Yep. Offer code MacBreak, 10% off your registration. Another great reason to look at Hover for your next domain registrations. We moved all our domains over there. I just like them. You might have heard of them as Domains Direct. They're run by two cows. They've been doing this since 1997, and they really know what they're doing. MacBreak.hover.com. And we thank them for their support of MacBreak Weekly. They are Mac guys. So they, sometimes you call these guys and you say, I want to configure a Mac, and they go, huh? Yep. Does that still happen? Happened for a long time. Get an ISP, and they go, no, sorry, we don't do that. Well, I don't know what you're talking about. Mac, what's that? That's the disadvantage of not being dominant. But you don't have to worry about that with the iPhone. Everybody knows the iPhone. Yep. You don't ever have to run into that.
Also, I think that network services has become a lot less provincial than it was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Right now, right now the word really is out that if you're a system administrator, you're being paid to know about how to get computers working on networks, and you don't know how to make a Mac work on a network, you're an idiot.
Right.
you are. It's like, well, as director of IT services, your next job is to go on to this thing that we've heard called Craigslist and post this ad for a new person to replace you in 3 months.
So a number of new pads coming out finally. There's the Ogden from, was it Kmart, the $150? Have you seen, has anybody seen one of these Ogdens?
No, I've seen pads that are kind of in that class, and the usual difference between them is video acceleration, where it's just such a sluggish UI. Even if it does run Android, like most of them are running like Android 1.6. I've seen one that actually runs Android 1.2.
Ooh.
But for like a $99 tablet or $150 tablet, maybe you can say, I'm not going to use it to surf the web or run dynamic applications or watch YouTube videos. I just want it as a book reader. But even so, it's just so slow and just putting bits onto the screen that you just quickly realize how easy it is to throw it, and you spend so little on it that you might actually be fun to throw it at something big and hard.
RIM says they're going to do a tablet. It's going to be called the Black Pad. Which is a terrible name. They do BlackBerry, obviously, if you don't know that. And they say
American International Pictures. American International Pictures presents Samuel L. Franco.
Black Pad. It's a tablet computer slated for November, presumably running BlackBerry 6. A lot of people are waiting for Android 3 Gingerbread, which is really designed for both phones and tablets.
What an odd choice that was, especially now that we have a $139 Kindle coming out. I think that the $139 Kindle is going to be as upsetting to other manufacturers as the $499 iPad was back when that was announced a few months ago, because people who thought that, well, there's room for a really, really horrible tablet that costs $150 because people want ebook readers and people want this sort of functionality. But if you're telling them, no, here's something that really works great at that same price point, it really does show off how shoddy your original product is.
Okay.
And I think that Apple is going to be capable of bringing that price down. I think that's the issue, is that they did that in the past. I think they can bring it down. If they bring it down to $399,
it's death.
Yeah.
$399 without the camera. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We are seeing, by the way, that in the network tools for people configuring iPads for business, there is a way to turn off the camera in the iPad.
Oops. Should have deleted that.
Wonder why they would put that in.
Step 1, do not drill a hole in the front bezel. Step 2, do not insert Sanyo part number ML441. Step 3, do not solder these 3 leads into the CPU.
Microsoft has announced its pricing for Office 2011 for Mac. It will be out in October. There is no upgrade. This is what they did on Windows too, which kind of shocks me. In a world where you can go to Google Office, you can go to Zoho Office, there are a lot of Open Office, there are a lot of free choices. Microsoft says, if you already own Office, too bad, no upgrade pricing for you. You'll pay the full freight to go to Office 2011. They did drop the price on the Macintosh. Office for Mac for Home and Student 2011 will be $119. Family Pack gives you 3 Macs, 3 installations, $149. That's basically what they were charging for Home and Student Edition for Office 2008.
So
the Business Edition is $199 for 1 machine, $279 for 2 machines. That's a big drop. It was $400 for Office 2008.
So for business, I think that's great. I think that
is it the end of Office for the Mac?
Well, here's the thing. Here's all I got to say is if you're working at home or if you're working as a student,
$49.
$49 for iWork. The thing I understand the only reason to buy Office, in my opinion, right now is that Excel, when you're doing heavy work, heavy lifting, I think Excel is better and faster than numbers.
Yeah, Lisa, who's our number person, she's our CEO and does all the books. She uses Excel,
right? Not
on the Mac, on Windows.
But if you're working as someone who's doing smaller Excel stuff, if you're working, smaller spreadsheet stuff, presentations, Pages, Pages is much nicer in my opinion than Word. In a lot of ways. And so the thing is unless you really have to integrate with people all the time and using every little feature that Word has, it just doesn't make any sense anymore.
And I see a lot of people using Google Docs. Now that you can edit Google Docs on your iPad and iPhone, why not just use that and live in the cloud?
Yeah. It's definitely become a much, much less compelling product than it was even just 5 years ago, because people are using Google Docs. Not only that, but the market for alternative word processors, like specialty word processors, has just exploded in ways that I would never have predicted.
Yeah.
On the Mac, people are not necessarily using Word. They're using Pages. They're using Scrivener. They're using any of 2 or 3 other apps that are not designed to be Microsoft Word dodecahedron edition.
Right.
It's just designed to help you just push out 10 to 12 page documents, letters, and things that are forming that are integrate well with Google Docs and have a regular script. So
here's a tip from Superflush. You can get iWork for $32.30 on Amazon. That's a great price.
It's a great. The thing is that you
and you get Keynote, which is easily better than PowerPoint. There's just not even.
With Keynote, like if I see a whole bunch of presentations coming up and I see everyone lining up their PowerPoint, I well, I'm going to look good without much trying. I'm going to add a couple little transitions in my slides of the things flying forward, and it is just and also. It was like I remember I put together, even though the spreadsheet, for doing heavy numbers isn't, heavy spreadsheets isn't necessarily there. I put together a presentation for someone where I put together, I added all these things up in numbers and I linked everything and I built some active graphs and so on and so forth. And I handed it to somebody and they said, well, you didn't need to do all that work. This was just a quick little proposal. I was like, I didn't. that was just me thinking out loud, and that's what I ended up with. It looks like I did an entire design run through it, and that's the advantage.
Yeah. The right answer is, I guess I just want it more than the other people bidding for this project.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I should have said.
Incidentally, thanks to the chat room, Thomas Ricker is writing on Engadget saying, "Don't get so excited about the the camera configuration in the iPad, because it's word for word exactly the bullet points that were used on the iPhone. They probably just forgot to delete that line."
I still think we're going to get one.
We're getting a front-facing camera.
Yeah.
FaceTime, 2 words. Actually, 1 word capped.
The fact that the tooling for that mount is apparently right there in the frame, either that's a lot of forward thinking, or they're like, maybe next year, maybe the year after. But yeah, and I guess people really do want to see the inside of their noses. So.
I have to say, by the way, that while I'm not compelled by FaceTime on an iPhone, I think FaceTime on an iPad might be a very interesting product.
Right.
That might be really the product.
You think that it would ever be so well integrated into AT&T that would work on an iPod Touch, and even like a Wi-Fi only iPad? Like if it were
That's
so well integrated,
isn't it?
If your address book were able to say, I'm aware that I don't have access to 3G, but I do have access to Wi-Fi, I'm just going to take a few kilobytes to ask the AT&T network if the person at this phone number happens to be on Wi-Fi right now, and if so, I'm going to route this call through Wi-Fi. It would be such a big win for AT&T, and that would take some load off their network.
Have we noticed?
I don't know what the regulation would be, though.
Well, once you've connected to someone via FaceTime, from then on, it's always just it'll automatically go to, if you're hooked to Wi-Fi and they're on the Wi-Fi, it'll just automatically use the Wi-Fi. It doesn't even ask you, And the thing that I find very interesting about FaceTime is that all the sound effects are all iChat. So they're already. I feel like that's Apple is moving past cellular.
The iWork Family Pack is $58.
Yeah.
I mean, really, why not on Amazon?
Well, and it's really that's the family pack is more of a honor system. We buy family packs for the office because we want to make sure that we really have everything registered. But there's no serial number.
Right.
It's just like
you just install it wherever you want.
Yeah.
There is a serial number, but it works on anything.
Yeah, it works on anything. Yeah.
Okay, a couple of real quick ones. We're running late, and I want to get going. Apple acquired Lala.com last December, streaming music site. An Apple spokesperson, let's see, Apple's telling executives, according to CNET News, at the 4 top labels, that if Apple offers any cloud music features within the next few months, they'll likely be, quote, modest in scope, end quote, and not include the kind of functionality Apple outlined in the meetings with labels earlier. Apple still hasn't negotiated the kind of licensing deals it would need. Apple is apparently implying that they'll be doing video streaming before they do audio streaming. So maybe they bought Lala for the engineers, not the service.
Yeah. It's so interesting whenever I see rumors like this, or just the ability, the potential of a certain service or a certain technology, to think that, yes, it's technically possible. Yes, it's supported by the OS. Yes, everybody at that company wants it to happen. But where within, if there are a pile of agreements this long of what your obligations are to everybody in this chain, at what point does it say that, no, you can't stream this because that counts as a rebroadcast, and you have to negotiate a new fee for rebroadcast? Even though this was like boilerplate stuff that's going back from 20 years, it's still in the contract that you can't necessarily stream this content without some writer or some producer wanting to get, one. They at least want to be lied to about the reason why they're not getting the 1/3 of 1 cent that the studio owes them.
Incredibly frustrating, though, to people who were Lala lovers.
But it got shut down, and then it's not going.
There is Rdio, though. I like Rdio a lot. I don't know. Is Rdio comparable to Lala? It seems similar. You don't. Anyway, I like Rdio, and that's now open to the public, I believe. So RDIO, there's an iPhone app, and I'm pretty sure there's an Android app, and there's desktop, and it's a similar streaming music solution. Not like Pandora, where you get what you get, but where you more like Lala, where you choose what you want to listen to.
Yeah.
Fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, no, I was just going to say, I think the time is well past for us to have not just a get what you get service, but get what you own service.
Gotta be. Gotta be.
They just got to start catching up and saying, if I've already bought this album, why are you locking into me having physical ownership of the media in order to listen to it on my device? Right. I mean, if there are things that prevent me from buying more music and enjoying more music, and that's it.
One more, and then I'm going to ask you, gentlemen, to rush through your picks so we can get to This Week in Google. We got a late start due to technical reasons. I do apologize. Apple did remove those competitor phone antenna tests from its antenna page.
After we made so much fun of it.
After we mocked it so much last week. They're gone, and I think appropriate. The point was made. Let's put it that way. And anybody who was curious probably saw those videos, but they're gone off of the Apple page. Quickly, let me mention our friends at Citrix, and then it'll be our picks of the week. Citrix does that great software you've seen. Go to Meeting, go to My PC, go to Assist, go to Training. They do enterprise sharing. They've got the remote access down, and they've got it down on Macs and PCs. So it's really nice they're cross-platform. There are other meeting solutions, online meeting solutions, that are Windows only. But what good is that if you've got a group of people that has both Windows and Mac? GoToMeeting is so easy to use on both. It'll save you so much time in business travel. According to American Express, the average cost of a business trip these days, $1,000 for one trip. GoToMeeting, $49 a month for as many meetings as you want, as long as you want. I use GoToMeeting all the time. I know you will like it. That's why we've arranged a 30-day trial for you, absolutely free, PC or Mac. GoToMeeting.com/MacBreak. There's a great iPad app that's free.
I've been surprised at how often. I suddenly realized that I'm
using it.
I'm now having three or four meetings a week. On these things. I mean,
it's so easy. You just start it, and you're there. You can even be on a conference call and say, "Hey, look, I want to show you something," and just fire it up. They don't even have to have it installed. It takes them seconds to install it on the other end. 15 people at a time. You could trade, control back and forth. You do a lot of work internationally, all over the world, and
we're starting to run classes on the technology.
You could
on this and the bigger version.
Go to training or
go to webinar.
Go to webinar. Yeah, they're just these guys really know their stuff. Let me just encourage you to try it. Absolutely free. GoToMeeting.com/MacBreak. You'll see what we're talking about. Time for our picks of the week. Let's start. We never get to start with Andy because he's always doing a Audible pick. So I'm going to start with you, Andy Ihnatko.
Okay, mine is something that I'm not sure if we used it as a pick of the week over the past few weeks. There was an update to one of my favorite Apple diagnostic utilities called Applejack. It is it's a command line utility. You install it, and what it does is it puts a set of command line utilities inside the terminal, so that if you're having not just a problem where your Mac is just acting up kind of weirdly, but it just doesn't start up at all. Many people are aware of the single user trick. If you restart with holding down Command S, you will basically turn it into a Unix terminal, and you can work from there. There have always been a bunch of command line utilities that you can use to sort of repair things. Some of the utilities are like multi-step things. What Applejack does is you just restart with Command S, it'll give you a terminal prompt. You just type Applejack, and it'll give you like this real cool, like old school. Sorry for this because again, I don't have access to my Pink right now. But what it will give you is this really cool, just sort of like DOS 3.2 startup window of different things that it can do, including basic tricks that might get your machine working again, including just delete all the cache files, delete all the preference files, do FSK, which basically is sort of a disk repair sort of utility. It's a really cool way to, if you have this installed on your machine, it's a really good way to have that extra little bit of protection against disasters. It won't heal every problem. It won't resurrect every single computer. But if you have these really infuriating freezes and you don't know if it's bad memory, you don't know if it's a bad hard disk, and you don't know if it's something as simple as a single press file that is screwing up your boot up process, this utility, which is free, will let you easily tear your way through it with just a restart and one command line trick.
By the way, despite the fact that you showed that on the iPad, there is not yet an Applejack for iPad.
Exactly.
That was smart, though.
Coming.
That was clever. You did a screenshot and then you sent it to your iPad so you could hold it up and show us. You're thinking.
Exactly. Using the old noodle.
Oh, using the old noodle there. It's applejack.sourceforge.net. It's free. And then you're right. It is if you have a Mac, you should have Applejack.
Yeah, it's just it's one of those things where you have to do it before. You have to install this before you start to have trouble. But the other thing is that it's not like other tricks where some tricks involve opening command line remote access to your Mac so that later on, if you need to sort of terminal in from remotely, it doesn't introduce any new security problems into your machine. It's just a set of scripts that greatly simplifies these existing Unix tools and makes it just easier for you to navigate them, especially if you're not a Unix head to begin with.
Yeah, a nice thing to know about Applejack. Good recommendation. Thank you, Andy. And now, Mr. Alex Lindsay with his pick of the week.
So I had an odd need with my iPhone.
Oh, really?
I know you would never think that I would have.
Here's a man who has needs.
So I'm working on a new. I'm trying to think of. We're trying to work on a new opening music for MacBreak, which is now, by the way, in 4K. Did you see the 4K version?
I haven't seen it because I can't watch it.
It's on YouTube. You can.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't have any.
You can watch it on 2K, but it's 4. It's 4K.
I don't have any hardware that I could see the 4K
That's
on.
2 more K, Leo.
I know it's double the K.
It must be better.
It's actually quadro the K.
So
right?
and by the way, it's with Sal Segoyan talking about awesome ways of porting your iPad, porting data to your iPad, like publishing to the iPad.
Sal's going to be on Mac Mania 11.
Yeah. So we anyway. So, but I was watching it, and now it's in 4K, and we have to upgrade the set. And if you just search MacBreak Sal iPad, you'll get it. Anyway, so that has nothing to do with it. What happened was I was like, we got to now move the music and the background.
You're just such a nut brain.
Well, you had to do it.
I mean, let me see now. See, okay, 360.
See, look now. Go to original.
720, 1080, and there's something.
Go to original.
It goes to 11.
It goes to 11.
It goes to original.
There it is.
And there's Sal. You could see Sal's beard, every detail, every whisker in glorious. And it'll move
in such great detail. You know what he had for breakfast.
So, by the way,
it's very clear, but it's not moving at a frame rate that I would enjoy.
You know what's interesting about that?
What?
This is a side recommendation, is that Chrome is the only thing that I found played it back on the Mac.
I'm playing it in Chrome, but the problem is it's an older 17-inch.
Yeah. But on my computer, the only one that I could get in full.
And by the way, this isn't 4K because the screen isn't 4K.
Right.
So you're seeing a scaled down version.
Right. It's doing it on the fly.
It's very crisp.
Yeah. Well, look at that key. Look at that green screen key.
The key is perfect.
Little hair
I can see. Look, you can see the screen through Alex's little flip on his forehead.
Yeah. See.
All
all I'm saying is that, like in New England, like the Roman Catholic Archdiocese has its own cable channel, and it's looking a lot like one of those programs right now.
I can zoom into Alex's follicle.
flip.
There it is.
Look, we can see Sal's got better hair to test this with.
All right.
See, if you go over.
But Sal's wearing a hat.
I know, but no, look down there. Look at all the little.
Look, the key goes right through his hair. Ladies and gentlemen, it is perfect.
King of key.
You don't even see those keys on broadcast most of the time. Those are just very.
No, in fact, if weathermen had keys like that,
Yeah, exactly.
you'd actually believe they were in front of a map.
Exactly. So anyway, so we've upgraded that look, and we wanted to upgrade.
Look at the
music.
key on Alex's hair right now. Can you tell? Look at that. That red curtain looks so real behind you. I mean, that's perfect, Alex. And this is, by the way, we're showing a 4K video on like a half K.
Right. Exactly.
Flash stream.
But when you look at it, it's great.
No,
look at it
amazing.
anyway. So it's upgraded.
Buy
so
yourself a 50-inch monitor so you can look at this.
But even at 27, I actually think we should make it like 27, 44, like whatever the maximum for the 27 inches.
Yeah.
But that's probably a good size for us to work in. So we wanted to increase. I want to improve the music, so I started trying to think of some tunes. But the problem is, I don't really know how to read music. I can hum things that this would be a good idea, but I don't have any way to create it. So I found this app on the. I found this app for the iPhone called Note Detector.
Note Detector.
Note Detector.
By the way, we're using. We started using on the iPad for our iPad Today show. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to distract, but you have a Clapper application.
Yeah.
It's really great.
Doesn't it work?
Yeah, and it syncs up with the iPhone.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Okay, Note Detector.
I think didn't I recommend that?
You did.
And
we were sitting there actually at the shoot, and we have a 3-camera shoot thinking, oh, wait a minute, what are we going to do, clap?
Right.
And then Daniel said, oh, no, wait a minute, what about that thing Alex talked about? I downloaded it, put it on the iPad, and we had it.
And there's a
great little slate.
There's actually an iPad holder, case that you can put your hand behind it, so you can hold it. No, it just holds it, so it's just easier to hold it out. We found that was
a really cool application. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, it's fine. So it's called Note Detector, and what you can do is hit record and go, bum, or whatever you want to do.
You're a bum, Alex.
And then
Lindsay, you're a bum.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll detect it, and that was a A sharp. -2.
Is it accurate?
Off key. Yeah, it seems to be pretty accurate. I started testing it, and everything I've tested with so far has been.
That's actually kind of neat. So you could test.
wait a minute,
let me get the Vuvuzela.
We're gonna
Any
see.
excuse.
What key is the Vuvuzela in?
Isn't it supposed to be B flat?
I don't know. We'll find out. Okay, I'm ready. Ready?
Okay, I'm gonna blow into your phone.
Okay, hold on. Here we go.
Andy took off his headphones.
Oh, I screwed
Again,
up somehow. Somehow it thought that it was still A sharp. I think it might have been overdriven.
I don't think we want to really do it again.
I don't think we want to do it. Yeah.
We're testing the Note Detector.
So you can
blowing
sing
it hard enough, says Lisa.
So you can sing a little song.
And we have a show title.
I'm not going to touch it. Don't worry. I might blow it harder,
again?
though.
Hold on.
All right, you ready?
Hold on.
Can you blow it without touching it? Ready? I ran out of.
Now the problem there is that that was a lot of notes.
That was a lot of notes.
That was a lot of notes. It's going to be like.
Start once I'm in the notes.
Hold on.
Don't start it yet.
Hold on.
Andy, take off your headphones. Everybody else, stop listening. I'm sure Oprah has a wonderful show on today. With no Vuvuzela.
Hold on.
I don't have enough wind to keep it going. All right. So, Note Detector. It's marvelous. Just don't blow a Vuvuzela into it.
It's fun because if you wanted to take something that you could hum or that you could play, and part of it's me trying to figure out how to get stuff from the Mbira into the.
What's an Mbira? That's
Mbira
a
is my
piano,
little thumb piano that I play.
Those are so beautiful.
They are.
I had those when I was a kid.
They're really fun to play too.
Yeah. Dum, 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 dum. Sing it, detect it, rock it. So once you get the note, does it do anything else?
Well, that's all I needed from it. So I haven't tried anything else.
It has. I'm looking
what
at
note am I thinking of here?
It has. It looks like you could get a tab out of it or something.
Yeah, you could get the tab out of it. I haven't tried to go that far. I was just excited that I could get the notes.
Apparently, I suck at Vuvuzela.
Yeah.
Or maybe just the Vuvuzela sucks.
Well, that's exactly it. You're supposed to be blowing. Is that it?
I was sucking. There you go.
Didn't read the little card that came with it, did you? You just wanted to get right into it. See?
Now, my pick, thank you, Alex, for that pick of the week. Is it free?
It is. I think it's like $1.99 or
it doesn't look expensive.
It's cheap.
It doesn't look expensive.
Yeah, it's inexpensive. I don't think it's free. I think it's $1.99 or $2.99.
They also have. They're going to do a beat detector.
But I mean, a lot of times you're thinking about cool little notes that you want to, cool little songs, but you don't know how to do it, and this is the way to do it, or one of the ways.
Very neat. So Merlin Mann should really be here for this. By the way, we've asked him, and he will come back when he's done with his book, which is in September, because we miss Merlin. There was a polite applause in the background.
No, I didn't want to ruin your audio, but I'm enthusiastic about Merlin coming back.
We love Merlin. Yeah, if there were any doubt, Merlin, if you had any doubt that we love you, we do. So come back to us, Merlin. Come back. But Merlin worked on, with the folks at Omni Group, a great task manager, a little more powerful than I need, called OmniFocus. Well, I thought, actually I do need it desperately. It's a very easy way to do the getting things done methodology, if you're a fan of that. Project management, contexts, great inbox. And for a while they've had, now I'll tell you the negative right up front. It's expensive, and they charge a lot for both the desktop, and then you have to buy the iPhone app separately. And Lord, they've got an iPad app finally, which is $40 in addition to the whatever $129 you paid for the OmniFocus desktop and the $30 you paid for the iPhone. But once you got it all together, you've got a killer setup. And I have to say that this was kind of the piece of the puzzle I was waiting for. The ability to use OmniFocus on an iPad. This is the platform for a to-do list. Yeah. I mean, a very powerful to-do list. Easy to create new lists, easy to maintain it. And the thing that's very key, I think, in a good project or task manager is this review process. It's got to be easy to review on a regular basis and to modify on a regular basis. And you want to review daily. I admit it's hugely expensive. It's only for somebody who really is convinced. I would suggest the 30-day free trial of OmniFocus on the desktop first before you spend the money on the iPhone and the iPad app.
And you really do need to, kind of drink the getting things done Kool-Aid.
You do.
It's something. It's a lifestyle.
It's a commitment. Well, and that's where Don McAllister comes in. He's done some really good tutorials on Screencasts Online that are free on using, paid for by the Omni Group, on using OmniFocus. So I'd really suggest looking at those, looking at Merlin's posts. Yeah, you almost have to learn. This is a program you have to learn how to use.
Right.
I am not going to kid you. This is not like Things, which is very straightforward and a great to-do list. It's not like Remember the Milk or Toodle-Do. This is a power tool. But if you are a person who needs, as I do, a lot of help with a lot of things going on, I think, Alex, you might find this useful. And again, the review on the iPad you want to be able to swipe things around. I mean, it's just the natural way to kind of move things around. Data entry on the iPad, a little more difficult. So I would probably use the desktop to get all the stuff into your inbox, and then I would do the weeklies and dailies on here, because this is just a natural way to do it. Really feels good.
And it was one of those things that I was very into the getting things done for a while, but because it wasn't integrated with everything that I was doing, it couldn't be all present for me, and it just fell apart.
Yeah.
So having these all tied together is an incredibly important piece of the puzzle.
David Allen says you've got to have, it starts with a trust, and he, by the way, we had a caller on the radio show this weekend who said, I use the Franklin Planner, I've been using it for 12 years, it's really effective for me, is there a reason to go digital? And I said, no. If you've got a system that works, even David Allen says this, paper is fine. It's not, a lot of us geeks spend a lot of time tweaking the system instead of getting things done. So I'm not advocating you spend a lot of time tweaking around with your system if you've got a system that works. But if you're looking for a system that works,
I have no system that works.
Yeah, and neither do I. And I took the Franklin
system that works is I have very effective people surrounding me all the time.
That's my system too. And you notice that I haven't had a producer on these shows, and I'm getting one. We're going to hire a producer on these shows, and you'll notice how much better they get in the next few weeks, because I'm very disorganized. Anyway, I'm excited, though, about OmniFocus. I think, you could tell I'm excited because I put it on my dock on the iPad. I already bought it for the iPhone and for the desktop, so the $40 was kind of a no-brainer for me on the iPad. This will sync, by the way, and they have a number. I think one of the things they've done really well, they have a number of ways to synchronize this. It works with MobileMe. That's what I'm using. You can do it via Wi-Fi with your Mac, but MobileMe is nice because they don't have to all be online at the same time, or on the same network even. You can use, they're now launching their own sync server. This is in beta. That's free. You can try that. You can do your own WebDAV solution. Once you've got OmniFocus set up on any machine, you can sync the settings around. In fact, that's what I'm going to do right now is import the settings from my Mac onto the iPad, so it'll all be set up, and then the tasks sync. Everything syncs, so it's all in in sync with itself. You'll see. If I get more effective in the next few weeks, you can thank OmniFocus.
Suddenly there'll be 6 new shows, and they'll all be running perfectly.
Yeah. I've read, I took the Franklin Planner, the day-long course. I've taken every seminar out there. I've taken Dave Allen's courses. I've read his books. I've interviewed him. I've done everything I can, and I'm still disorganized. So I'm, and I don't frankly hold out much hope. But for those of you who still do, who haven't reached despair in this category, this is a...
Is that one of the 16 tips for highly effective people? Always anticipate failure. Plan for failure.
Yeah.
Well, I think
visualize the failure in your mind. Otherwise, how can you hope to achieve it?
Exactly, and I do that every morning. I wake up with cold sweat, knowing that whatever I'm doing today will be a massive flop. It's gotten me through my 53 years on this earth.
The key is just not surrounding yourself with people exactly like yourself. That's it.
Damn, I knew there was something. Okay, you're all fired. No, I have actually a great staff, and it's interesting that I got into media, and I think it wasn't so much because I love media, it was because media has something called producers who are organized, and I just needed somebody that knew what they were doing and was organized, and it's been a miracle. OmniFocus, it is not cheap. My recommendation, if you haven't examined it at all, is to download the desktop application. It's free for 30 days. Try it. See if you like the methodology. See if it makes sense to you. But knowing that there has been an iPhone app for some time, and now they just came out this week with their iPad app. And to me, this is the perfect form factor for this kind of thing. I always have the iPad with me. The iPhone was a little too small to read and enter. It was nice. It was more like, well, here's a reminder of what you're doing, and it uses the GPS and stuff like that. But the iPad, this is like your to-do list. This is like your Franklin Planner, right? Here's a way to do it. OmniFocus from the Omni Group. That's my pick of the week. We have wrapped it up, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
That's the sound of wrapping it up.
Alex Lindsay is at the Pixel Core, that great group of multimedia artists at pixelcore.com. If you go to pixelcore.tv, you'll find his podcast, including the amazing 4K MacBreak.
It's only on YouTube. It's the only place we could put it.
Because they do 4K.
They do 4K now. And we have the first podcast ever done in 4K, and we think the longest 4K sample on YouTube, because most of them are like 30 seconds, like, ooh, look, we turned the camera on. So this is the big push. We got it down to, with the help of Andy Beach, who's like the master of compression. The 4K one that we uploaded was actually 330 megs.
For how long?
10 minutes.
Okay. That's not bad, actually.
For 4K video?
It's not bad at all.
It was pretty good.
That's
X264. Well, it's H264, but it was an X264 compressor. It's an open source kind of
interesting,
crazy thing that we used.
Well, MacBreak some years ago was the very first podcast, I think, to ever do 1080p. Yep. You were using those amazing Cine Altas.
Exactly.
So now you've broken to the next level.
We have to.
You shot them with the Reds?
Yeah, we shot it with.
Do you own a Red?
No, Kelly owns a Red. Oh. So Kelly, when he was in town putting together your lighting setup, I was like, bro, I've got a Red in town. Let's go play. And so. So we did.
YouTube.com/
YouTube/ I don't know what it's / it's it's one of their whatevers, but it just search for it's the 3UISJ0JE.
You don't have an account?
We have some.
No, but you must have. It must be on your. It's MacBreak SF. That's all I wanted. YouTube. That's all I was asking for.
I'm sorry.
YouTube.com/ MacBreakSF, and this is right now anyway.
And on top of it being in 4K, it is incredible content about creating content for the iPad. We've got 3 of them coming out from Sal that were done there, and just how to move stuff via HTML5 and everything else and publish to the iPad. So it's cool stuff.
Andy Ihnatko is at the Chicago Sun-Times, and we love him, even though he hates Skype. Skype was good after you wired it up.
I just want it to be. I don't hate you. I'm just disappointed in you, Skype.
When I want to really zing my kids, that's what I say. I still love you. I'm just disappointed.
You as a parent, you keep that one like in that little glass panel. You have to smash with a hammer to press that button.
Yeah, it's only when
you know that it's going down.
Yeah, it's only when needed. Love you, Andy. It's great to have you, as always. We'll have Don on next week, screencastsonline.com. And I'm going to put in a little plug for because I think it's rapidly getting to the last chance to take advantage of this. InsightCruises.com. Andy and I have both done Insight Cruises in the past, those great MacMania cruises. There's Bob. I'm sorry. But MacMania 11 is coming up, and the reason it's on my mind, I just signed up for the Antarctica and Machu Picchu trips. We are going to Patagonia, baby. I thought it was a brand name. No, it's actually South America.
Where the jackets are made.
It's where the Dread Pirate Roberts has a vacation home.
Dread Pirate Roberts lives in Patagonia. We start in Buenos Aires next year, February 4th, 2011. We sail on the beautiful MS Veendam, which is a smaller boat, and that's a good thing because we'll be crossing Cape Horn, the notorious sea path around the tip of South America where 50,000 vessels have been lost. We don't want to be 50,001.
We want to die. We want to die with you, Mac fans. Come join Leo Laporte, Sal Segoyan, and most of your Mac luminaries
as we go down for the last
Hold
time.
hands towards oblivion.
We're going to Uruguay, where I could celebrate their triumph at the World Cup. Port Stanley and the Falkland Islands, where I could celebrate their triumph over Great Britain. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Who did they beat? Argentina? I don't know.
Argentina lost to Great Britain.
I can never remember that war.
They're 0-1.
0-1? Okay. And we still call them the Falkland Islands, not the Malvinas or whatever it was they wanted to call it. Then we go to Ushuaia, Argentina, where we'll see the Francia and Italia glaciers, and we'll go through the Beagle Channel, the famous Beagle Channel where Charles Darwin sailed. Then Punta Arenas, Chile. That's on the Strait of Magellan. That's where, by the way, you will have a chance to disembark for a day in Antarctica. Now, I have to warn you, it's an expensive day. Andy and I have been talking about this. But you know what? How many times am I going to get to Antarctica? This is it.
Take a 5D.
I'm spending this. Oh, you think
Take some good glass. You got.
They warned it's very cold, and they warned about freezing up the camera and stuff.
It really does feel as though you have to, like, any chance you might have at a travel meme you're going to do for the rest of your life. Like, if it's going to be, I'm going to do a little dance everywhere I travel, or I'm going to have my little stuffed bull, you got to plan that ahead, because if you're going to start any of that, once you get Antarctica,
that's it.
The rest is just cake.
Right.
You got the hardest one off the map.
I wish I'd had the little dancing bull on all those other continents, because this is going to be my 7th continent. That's the main reason why I have to spend $3,000 to do this.
Exactly.
It's my 7th continent.
That's it. I'm quite jealous. That is pretty cool.
Your life is cool.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And then we go on to Chile, Puerto Montt, and finally Santiago, Valparaiso, Chile, where we disembark. I'm going to do the 3-day excursion after that to Machu Picchu, another place I've always wanted to go, the Great Inca ruins there. And you're invited to participate in all of that. But if you wanted, now look, this is a 12-day cruise. This is not $1.50. I gotta warn you. I don't want you to have some sticker shock when you get there.
There are cheaper ways to learn how to use Photoshop, but not more entertaining.
I have to admit that I cannot promise you the most affordable Photoshop cruise ever. However, there are great people going on this cruise. As you mentioned, I'll be on there. Sal Segoyan will be on there. We just love Sal. Don McAllister is also going on it. It is going to be a blast. I've crashed the page again. MacMania 11, InsightCruises.com. If you go there, you will see. I cannot move. I'm stuck on this page. If you go there, you will see not only the itinerary but also the speakers. And my speeches, I think, are going to change a little bit because I proposed them before the iPad came out, and I think I want to do some iPad stuff. I might even, if I really get ambitious, I might even have a day-long seminar, write an iPad app. Would that be kind of interesting?
That'd be great.
Ambitious? HTML5 or actually with Xcode?
I would think Xcode, but HTML5 would be a lot easier, and you don't have to have a developer.
I'm going to talk to Sal because he is mastered.
Well, he's done the HTML5 thing, actually. I can't because he's automated that.
Yeah.
So I think I have to do the Xcode thing, and Sal's just going to sit in the back going.
By the way, Patalicious is his site on how to
love
do
it.
And it is, he's got that. You just have to see it because it's, I didn't realize how much
he did automator.org, I think, and now he's doing Patalicious. Yeah. It's just really incredible.
And Patalicious is just, it's really it's all the stuff we were covering for the show, but it's really, how to automate getting a pile of images into your iPad as an HTML5 or a PDF or into an ebook format. And
he says, don't bother writing an app. Why not just do it in HTML5?
For this basic stuff, absolutely.
Yep. And Patalicious kind of does it for you.
Yeah.
It couldn't be any easier, So, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I guess I'll let Sal do that one. No, I'm not going to do Xcode. That's nuts. That's just nuts. And, oh, yeah, we should plant a flag on Antarctica.
Yes. That's what you have to start doing.
Are you allowed to do that?
Well,
I guess if you take it with you afterwards.
Take a picture.
Quick, take a picture. Okay.
Also, it'll be more dramatic if you don't have like the 80 or 90 other tourists behind you, like taking goofy pictures. You want to clear the background.
Oh, good thinking. And maybe have some dogs, some sled dogs.
Exactly.
And
then
if
you have to
you
get
can,
like
frost.
frost on, exactly. Frost on the beard.
Like slip a piece of glass in front of the lens. You can like dot it with like flecks of ice and like snow, so that when the time comes, they don't know that it's actually quite balmy for Antarctica, and you're actually just off camera. There's a cooler of Bud Lights and mimosas.
So hot, I'm dying in this suit. Hey, guys, great show. Thank you so much for joining us. We thank you all for watching. We do the show, technical difficulties barred, which never have been yet. But we try to start at 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's 2 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC, every Tuesday at live.twit.tv. You know what you get if you tune in, then you get the pre-show.
Yes.
Sometimes 45 minutes of pre-show.
And oftentimes some of the best parts of the show.
Commentary.
And you hear language you wouldn't hear anywhere but in a nunnery. And that is right here, live.twit.tv, the chat room, irc.twit.tv. We tweet it and buzz it and everything. In fact, if you follow Twit or Twit Live on Twitter, you'll get that information. Or follow me, Leo Laporte, on Twitter. You'll know when we're starting the show. What else can I say? Oh, yeah, you can also download video and audio versions. And somebody asked me the other day, you're not going to stop doing audio, are you? Never. Never. Even in the shows that are pretty visual, like iPad Today, which doesn't really make any sense in audio. You just hear a lot of, look at that, wow. But you can, if you want. You can get that in audio, too. Have I mentioned that we're doing a show on the iPad?
How's that going?
It's great. We've done 4 episodes so far. Sarah Lane and I'll be on vacation, so Tom Merritt's going to take over next week here, as well as iPad Today. But, yeah, it's a lot of fun if you're into iPads. We do apps, we do a little how-to, we do interviews, we do news. It's the whole kit and caboodle, and we do it in a quick, fast-paced way. So it's only about 40 minutes long. Okay, that's it. Back to work now. Break time is over.